I want to move on from the cultural aspect of sex is the relational aspect. Because I think when we think about sex ed, we think about all of this stuff, like sex is beautiful, and it's this and all of this, the gendered stuff and sexual orientation, and we think about, I don't want to call them logistics, but social values. But we also do not think about are the relational aspects of sex and how sex is a relational dynamic, even when you don't know somebody. And because of that, there are going to be a variety of different things that are going to come up for you that, are really important. So a sex ed is first step, and a relational ed is a second step, because sex and relationships sex is happening in the context of relationships, so they're co-occurring experiences. So I want to talk a little bit about how sex is relational, and this is what I find most interesting. This is what I talk about with my clients and the couples that I see, especially all the couples that are coming in, they're not having any sex, so why aren't we having any sex? It's a relational dynamic usually. Sometimes there's like a tweak here and there, but usually there is something relational happening in the dynamic. So I find this part really interesting, and I hope you will too. And so when I say relational, does anyone want to tell me what they think I mean?
Connection.
Yeah, connection, and also disconnection for some people, but it's a dynamic. And it's a dynamic that's shaped by absolutely anything you could possibly think of about relationships. So let's go back to birthing. Sex is a relational dynamic shaped by attachment. It's shaped by how you learned how to love. It's shaped how you learned how to give love, receive love, do love, what love meant. It's shaped by what intimacy meant in your family. And I'm not talking about sex, I'm just talking about intimacy in terms of sharing emotions. It's about, did your parents ask you how you felt ever? Did they get on the floor and play with you? Oftentimes I'll see many clients who aren't masturbating, and they have sex, but it's like for their partner, and it's like, no, they're not really into it. My first question will be, well, what was pleasure like when you were a kid? Not sexual pleasure, but pleasure, as in playtime. Did your parents encourage you to go play with your friends? Did they get on the floor, like I was saying, and play with you with your toys? Did they encourage you to go outside and run around and frolic? Or were you just told to go to your room and do your work? I ask a lot about food. What was food like growing up? Sex is pleasure, food is pleasure. So I ask a lot about that, but these are relational dynamics that we learn. So similarly, how the social values shape how we learn about sex, these relational dynamics do too. And so one of the most common things that I see with people in my practice work is that they are not talking about sex with their partner. And they're not talking about sex with their partner during sex. Before sex, after sex in general, and it's not just the I like it when you do whatever. It's the, maybe we've all been there, I've been there, when someone's like, is this good? And I'm like, yep. And it's not good. And so I think, have we all done that? Yeah, okay, and this is, okay, we could say because I have communication problems, whatever, but in therapy I learned that the reason why I withdraw, the reason why I avoid conversations like that is, sure, it's scary to talk about sex, but the reason is more connected to how I grew up in my attachment relationships. In terms of my parents never took an interest in what I wanted, so when my partner was taking an interest in what I wanted sexually, for me I was like, what? It was so unfamiliar that I couldn't speak. I lost connection to my self-definition. And this is one of the most common things that I see in people that are coming in with sexual issues. That it's not about a mechanical issue with a genital or with needing more lube. That it's usually, which by the way, if you're not using lube, use a bucket. It's usually something historical, something connected to attachment, something connected to how they were once loved, something connected to their gender, something connected to a social value. So there's a lot of meaning relationally when it comes to how we experience our sexuality or don't. And so this is what I work through with most of my clients, is they come in, they think they're going to be talking about, lube and dicks and glits and whatever, and I ask them about their mother. But this is where a lot of our challenges come from. Mothers, fathers, sure, but how we grew up, how we learned how to love. So it's a really big component of how we experience our sex. And then there's all the other relational skills that most of us don't learn, which is why, again, I said it was so fucking cool that you're all here learning all of these skills, because there's no relational 101. There's no relational ed in school in terms of communication, how to apologize, how to express yourself, how to feel like you can actually express yourself, like you deserve to express yourself. So we don't get any of that information anywhere. And all of those relational skills, setting boundaries, I mean, I could go on and on. All of those different skills that we need to create safety in our relationships, they're going to manifest and translate directly to how we have sex as well. So again, even if it's with a stranger or a partner that you've had for your entire life, it's going to be mediated by your relational skills. It's going to be mediated by your attachment styles and attachment experiences and your trauma. If you were abandoned, if you were neglected, if you were abused, all of these different things are going to impact and manifest sexually. Everything. And there's no way it doesn't. So no one's immune. No one's a superhuman. This is simply just how we experience our bodies. Whoops. And so it's crucial if you want to think about your sexuality. Most people that I see, I have a problem and I'm broken. I have a problem and I'm damaged and then something's wrong with me. I should be having sex like this. I shouldn't be experiencing these problems. And the reality is that most of us should be experiencing problems because we've had all of these experiences socially and relationally and in our attachment relationships that lead to the manifestation of these problems. So there is a huge reason why we all have these sexual challenges and problems, especially when another person enters the picture. And some of us even have it without a partner present. Some of us have it when we're alone, because just because we're alone doesn't mean we're actually alone. We still have all of those values inside of us. We still have our attachment issues inside of us. We still have all of our relational anxieties inside of us. And those can really inhibit and prevent any kind of arousal. What do we think? Attachment? We're talking about attachment so much, I figured we'd throw it in here. No, but it's very important and a huge barrier for a lot of people's pleasure. How are we on time? Oh, doing well. Okay, so speaking of which, anxiety. All of that stuff, all of this stuff, all of the relational challenges, it's going to create a lot of anxiety. How many of you are sexually anxious? Oh my God, everyone is sexually anxious. Sorry, I'm telling that you are anxious. Everyone has sexual anxiety. And the way that anxiety works in our bodies is sometimes it's conscious, like, oh my God, they're gonna reject me, I don't look good, this doesn't feel good, what am I supposed to do, help? And other times it's just unconscious. We wanna have sex, we wanna be with our partner, and our body is just like, sorry, I don't wanna go there. And you're like, come on, let's go. And it's just not happening. And that's an unconscious expression of anxiety. Another unconscious expression of sexual anxiety is you just avoid sex. You avoid all sexual communication, you don't talk about it, maybe you masturbate once in a while, but you essentially avoid it. And so that's a lot of anxiety as well. So what do we do? Everyone's sexually anxious, everyone's sexually neurotic, oh no. There's a lot that you can do. And it's no different than any other type of anxiety or any other relational issue that you may have. First, you want to become aware of all of these issues. So you want to know all the social values that you learned. You want to know where you came from and why you inherited these values. A big piece of this is also talking to your parents about their values. You want to hear about what they grew up with. And this doesn't have to be about sex. This is about life. I would encourage everyone to interview their parents and ask them about, what love meant. Did they know what a red flag was? I did this with my mother, and I was like, what were your red flags? And she was like, red what? What the red flags were, what the values around gender was, all of that stuff. And also ask about sex, because you're inheriting all of this stuff. It's all intergenerational, it's all connected, and it's just more information about who you are and who your parents are. Anyway, anxiety. You want to have as much information and insight as you can about the anxiety that comes up. And I'm sure that this weekend you all learned a fuck ton of information, and hopefully you are now. So you're there, which is great. And then the challenge is, again, as I said at the beginning of today, is really integrating that insight and information and implementing it in your sexuality, which is the hard part, because sometimes no matter how much we may know something or know that we should be able to be free and communicative, words simply don't come out of our mouths. So we have to be soft and gentle with ourselves, but there are certain goals that you can set and certain homework assignments you can assign yourself in terms of having certain conversations and communicating with your partner. Another really important thing to do is to make sure that you are all masturbating regularly. And if you don't enjoy masturbation, you gotta find a way to do it and enjoy it. It's your special time, and it's actually a great thing if you don't enjoy it right now, because that means that you will enjoy it. But it does take work. So all of this insight, all of this anxiety, all of this homework, blah, 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 again, it can still be really, really hard to use that, do that, and then feel pleasure and just be free sexually. I think right now, sex has become so trendy, and because of that, we think that, oh, now everyone is having really great sex, and I should be having great sex too, and I should be able to do all of these things. The answer is no, you shouldn't. It's hard. It's really hard.